Hello there, welcome to CoreTV News at 4. I'm Olajumoke Lansuji. Senate Minority Leader Godswill Okpabio has been flown out of the country for further medical attention. This was after he was discharged from the National Hospital in Abuja, where he was rushed to after his convoy ran into that of the U.S. Embassy. Before his discharge, the former governor was said to have expressed surprise that the news of the road accident had spread within a few minutes. The spokesperson of the hospital told Rabia Labaran to CoreTV News that Okpabio was in a stable condition when he was brought in. We'll bring you details of that report in our subsequent bulletins. United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon on Monday held a special meeting with 12 heads of parliaments from different parts of the world, including Nigeria's Senate President Abubakar Bukola Saraki. The session was called to discuss security problems in many countries and the resultant mass displacement of people from their traditional abode. The meeting was held at the UN headquarters as part of activities scheduled for the 4th United Nations Conference of Parliamentary Heads in New York and lasted for over an hour. Senator Saraki, who briefed to the press after the meeting, said Ban Ki-moon told the parliamentary heads that the UN views with seriousness the issue of terrorism, rehabilitation of internally displaced persons, and general insecurity, which he said further worsen the cases of poverty and underdevelopment. He was quoted in a statement as saying that he came out of the meeting more energized to get the much-needed support for the IDPs and those affected by terrorism in the northeast part of Nigeria. The defense authorities have confirmed that a committee is already investigating the cause of Saturday's crash of an Air Force aircraft in Kaduna. Chief of Defense Staff Gabriel Olonishakin reaffirmed this during a meeting with those at the scene of the crash, alongside the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Defense, Samila Aliyu. He also commiserated with the families of Air Force personnel who died in the ill-fated Abuja-bound aircraft. Amina Nebi has more in this report presented from our studios. We'll bring you details of that report in our subsequent bulletins. A coalition of civil society groups is demanding the establishment of a special tribunal to try electoral offenders and those who played key roles in fueling electoral violence during the 2015 general elections. The rights activists also condemned the electoral violence that took place in Rivers and Akwa Ibom states that claimed scores of lives. They said at a news conference in Abuja that Nigeria can only have credible elections when violence is reduced to the barest minimum.
A review of cases of electoral violence during the election was a bid to advancing possible recommendation on what can be done to make future election violence-free is absolutely important. Without preempting the speakers of today, please permit me to provide this occasion with some insight that I believe can keep us guided in our conversation for today. Many parts of our country remained relatively peaceful during the election, but some other states, including Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Ebonyi, and Ondo State, recorded a significant number of violent incidents. INEC record show that there were 66 reports of violence incidents targeted at polling units. The Commission official, voter and election materials. These were a Rivers State 16 incidents, in Ondo State 8 incidents, in Cross River and Ebonyi 6 each, Akwa Ibom 5, Bayelsa 4, Lagos and Kaduna 3 each, Jigawa, Enugu, Ikiti, and Osun has 2 each of this incident.
If you do not punish the perpetrators of violence in Rivers State, if you do not punish the perpetrators of violence in Akwa Ibom State, if you do not punish, and I mean underscore the word punish, because what has happened is, which is what I keep saying, is that we treat election-related crime as if it's a special crime. There is no excuse why somebody should kill anybody during an election and that person will not be brought for trial for murder. You cannot have murder on election day treated as if there is a particular kind of murder that happens that is different. If you assault people on election day, you should be arrested by the police.
The Court of Appeal is reserved judgment in the three separate appeals filed by the People's Democratic Party and its governorship candidate Nyesom Wike. Wike and PDP are asking the court to set aside the ruling of the state's governorship election petitions tribunal, which held that it has power to sit in Abuja instead of Port Harcourt for security reasons. The appellate court reserved judgment after hearing counsels from both sides in the disputed April 11 governorship election in Rivers State. Also, the appellants want the Court of Appeal to determine whether the tribunal was properly constituted by the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Zainab Bolkachua, at the hearing of the three appeals on Monday. The appellant counsel Emmanuel Okala urged the court to rule in his favor, but defense counsel Akin Olujimi opposed the application that the tribunal was right in sitting in Abuja for security reasons. The three-man panel, led by Justice Abubakar Yaya, adjourned till further notice after hearing both parties. This is still CoreTV News at 4. We'll take a break now and we'll be back with more stories. Please stay with us.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to your husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Because some people will stand for Yoruba land, will be strong man, we don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
For more news and other programs, please visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. Also visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave us space the news. Mao Jamin served on Monday at the Ekiti State Civil Service Secretariat as the state governor Adele Fauci embarked on physical confrontation with latecomers. This development, however, has generated reactions from the affected public. While some sections accused the governor of ordering the workers to kneel down, the workers were said to have prostrated, begging and invading disciplinary actions set up by the governor. Rashid tells us more.
For whatever this may be tagged, over 30 civil servants who had their offices at the State Secretariat in Ado-Ekiti are now at risk of losing their jobs. No thanks to the unscheduled early morning arrest and confrontation of latecomers exercise led by the governor Ayodele Fayose, storming the Ministry of Agriculture and Justice before 8 o'clock. The highs and lows in the civil service were not spared. While some made their way through the bush to evade arrest, some tendered genuine case, while over 30 others were not so lucky.
You are on your way out of service. I can assure you. On your way out of service. Can you get out of those statements?
The state governor vows to institute disciplinary process against the errand workers.
We get paid, we must do the work. Coming to work 8:30, 9 o'clock, I have complained repeatedly and I will not take it anymore. So these names will be given to me. Can you please keep quiet? Be given to me, disciplinary measures be set up, and they will face the disciplinary committee about it.
With wide reactions being generated by the posture of the civil servants, workers' union leadership says all will be done to mitigate the punishment.
Punctuality, they say, is the soul of business.
I'm still going to talk to Mr. Governor. I'm going to beg him. He's going to look at it compassionately.
While the governor resolves to intensify his unscheduled visit, more dramatic events such as this is expected in weeks to come. Rashid, CoreTV News. Ado Ekiti.
I'm sure you've gotten another job already.
Human rights activists led by Joe Dumaki has called on the federal government to rename the National Human Rights Headquarters in honor of late Gani Fawehinmi in recognition of his contribution to its humanity and nation building. This was a resolve at the World Press Conference organized to commemorate the 6th memorial of late human rights lawyer Gani Fawehinmi. Abel Oluwale tells us more.
When I remember Gani, I remember Gani.
5th September 2015 makes it 6 years since the exit of Gani Oyeshola Fawehinmi from the land of the living. Gani, as he was fondly called by the masses, was known for a strong stance against the military rule while it lasted. A man considered as a mentor to this gathering of rights activists was praised for all right reasons. According to the convener and president of Women Arise Initiative, Joe Dumaki and Ayodele Akele, there is a need for the federal government to immortalize late Gani Fawehinmi.
The National Human Rights Commission should be named after Chief Gani Fawehinmi, and there should be a gathering where it's called Freedom Park in Abuja, where all of us can gather, and each time we have struggles to make, we'll always be there. Chief Gani Fawehinmi, you will never, ever be forgotten.
Commenting on the state of the nation, Odumaki and Akele called for a renewed vigor in the fight against corruption and insecurity, adding that President Muhammadu Buhari should immediately unleash programs that would cushion the effects of economic challenges confronting Nigerians.
We have to do a lot more in terms of education for our people. We must say no to commercialization of education. NCP is for abolition of poverty. We must ensure that more than 90% of our population that live below $2 per day, we must ensure that their life is made much more comfortable.
My honest opinion is that this president has to sit down, how to sit tight. He just has to, because if you wasted 6 months or 90 days, or in spite of your 4-year tenure, 3 months is enough to lay foundation. No single foundation has been laid.
The organizers informed that a rally and memorial lecture will be conducted to further commemorate the demise of Gani Fawehinmi. Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Nigeria's health authorities are convinced that the country would attain a polio-free status in 2017. They said this after President Muhammadu Buhari held separate meetings with governors of polio-vulnerable states and members of the high-level advocacy group at the presidential villa in Abuja. According to them, efforts have been intensified, especially in the area of improved surveillance and facility-based services, among others, to ensure success.
There is no polio in our country, but there we will still need to monitor that throughout a period of 2 years. And that is why we need to intensify routine immunization, ensuring that there is no leakage, no gap until 2017, when we shall be certified a polio-free country, having arrested the transmission for upward of 1 year plus now.
Of this country, should a child be paralyzed by polio virus. We've attained a major milestone in polio eradication by being 13 months without the case of polio virus. But between now and 2017, we need to do a lot of things. We need to continue with the campaigns in such a way that we keep on improving the quality of the campaign. We need to also ensure that we strengthen routine immunization further in such a way that facility-based services will be provided. And then thirdly, we also have to ensure that our surveillance system is very effective so that we don't miss any case of polio virus in this country. But in addition, it's also important, just as Mr. President has directed, that the Federal Ministry of Health, the National Primary Care Agency, and partners should continue to work as a team in such a way that no case should be reported in Nigeria through ensuring that we have quality campaign. And that teamwork is what has taken us to where we are today. But between now and 2017, we are going to double our efforts so that no case will be reported now and beyond 2017.
I think all the governors have given commitment for full implementation and support for polio and the other communicable diseases, especially those affecting children. And this commitment was given by all the governors to the president, and I can say to the nation that we'll make sure that we achieve 2017. Thereafter also we sustain the momentum to maintain Nigeria to be a polio-free country forever.
Infertility over the years has been a source of major challenge to most marriages. To women, it is the inability to conceive as well as being unable to carry pregnancy to full term, while men who have low sperm counts are considered to be infertile. Speaking of the solution to infertility, consultant gynecologist and obstetrician Abayomi Ajayi says the challenge can be tackled with fertilization outside the body, which has proven successful over the years. He has also called on governments to support the health sector in managing infertility and other health-related challenges.
The commonest thing that we do is what we call IVF, or in vitro fertilization. What this means is that fertilization is the union of the egg and the sperm. It takes place outside the body. So that's why it's called in vitro fertilization, outside the body. But usually it's said to take place in a glass. That's why they were calling them test tube babies initially. So we bring the sperm and the egg together outside the body, and then we replace the embryo that is formed. Embryo is the union of the sperm and the egg. We now replace it back into the woman. And in about 25-30% to sometimes 40% of the cases, the woman gets pregnant from what we have done.
Unit workers at the Yaba Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Lagos have been battling with many internal issues. Despite the suspended strike and back to burn, all pending issues bordering on welfare of patients and staff, payment of salaries, deplorable state of facilities, all to no avail. Now it is the issue of the Chief Medical Director, whose upon tenure expiration has remained adamant in resigning. Emmanuel Jajayi has more in this report.
The lingering crisis affecting the Yaba Neuropsychiatric Hospital has been raising many questions, begging for answers, from the issue of welfare of patients and staff, payment of salaries and promotional arrears. Deplorable state of the hospital facilities shows the hospital requires urgent attention.
What to talk about hospital infrastructure has decayed totally.
One of the beds used here by patients at the Neuropsychiatric Hospital Yaba, Lagos, and you can see how deplorable things are in this place. This has brought to question in the elongation of the tenure of the Chief Medical Director, Rahman Abolore Lawal, who clocked 60 on the 3rd of January 2015 and ends its tenure of 4 years on the 21st of August 2015. Reacting to this, the Chairman National Union of Allied Health Practitioners, A.K. Uzondo, has kicked against this development.
The management under the leadership of Dr. R.A. Lawal, had not met the aspiration of the staffs and even the patients. And as such, his leadership for the past 4 years, when they scored it, it falls below the pass mark. Therefore, they are saying, in as much as he has finished his tenure, there should not be any act of tenure elongation of any type for him. He should exit the system.
For her part, the Chairman Medical and Dental Consultant Association of Nigeria, Ijarigbe Grace, has lamented on the deplorable state of the hospital facilities and the tenure elongation of the Chief Medical Director.
All the members are furious that this kind of thing can happen in a modern day Nigeria, where the order of the day is change from the old time of corruption and illegality to doing what is right. Change from shifting the goalposts to everybody aligning to the law. Now, the outgone medical director, Dr. R.A. Lawal, clocked 60 years in January 3rd. By civil service regulation, he should have just stepped out of office completely.
For 4 years that he has been, or over 4 years that he has been the medical director, one question we'll ask is, you've gone round, you've seen dilapidated structures. Does it show that his management of this hospital for 4 years was a successful one?
It has only by God's grace that we have been coping. We can't continue. We can't continue another 4 years of suffering and smiling. If not for God, what you are seeing now is just God. A lot of us, our salary for the past 4 years have not been on my normal salary scale.
As at the time of filing this report, effort to see the Chief Medical Director prove abortive, as he is said to be in a crucial meeting. As the union has resolved to embark on strike, the onus lies on the federal government to take proactive measures in tackling issues affecting the hospital. Emmanuel Ajayi, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The National Universities Commission is keen on introducing e-learning system and the use of smart classrooms in the university system. This is with a view to ensuring that Nigerian universities rank among the best in the world in the next 2 years. NUC Executive Secretary Professor Julius Okoje said this at a digital technology workshop in Abuja.
In Nigeria, yes, virtual classrooms. Those who are the science association of Nigeria will do well, and many teachers are also getting to keep ensuring that they are scalable. Even though you have
higher objective is to ensure our universities provide the necessary manpower needed by the country to transform the economy, whilst also meeting the labor market demands for skills, especially within the specific areas where there are skill shortages. Our development outcomes and economic growth can only be altered by the quality and quantity of available manpower. Let us therefore cast more than a cursory glance at all that goes into training this manpower and ensure that we do all that is possible to aid teaching, learning, and research using the plethora of available technologies.
We do that. We go through that. And we also, during interviews, ask his councils to select those who are computer compliant. So once you have been doing leadership, when I was a vice chancellor, I bought computer on every. I bought a VSAT. We had no bandwidth provision asset. I had a VSAT, and everybody was computer literate. We had an e-library, even those in 1996. So it depends on the leadership. So we ensure that when we choose good governance structure, it will come to play.
We'll take another break and we'll come back. We'll bring you stories from the world of business, sports, and outside Nigeria. Please join us again.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
And outside Nigeria, hundreds of migrants have been protesting outside a major railway station in the Hungarian capital after police sealed off the terminal to stop them traveling through the EU. Crowds chanted Germany, Germany and waved train tickets after being forced to leave Kaleti station in Budapest. Hungary is trying to restore order and enforce EU rules, according to officials. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Angela Merkel has called for the fair distribution of refugees across Europe. Austrian police said 3,650 migrants arrived in the Austrian capital, Vienna, from Hungary on Monday, with most heading for Germany. By Tuesday morning, about 1,400 people had arrived in Munich, southern Germany, after traveling through Austria, and more were expected. Dozens of protesters occupy Environmental Ministry over rubbish crisis, refusing to leave until the minister resigns. Around 30 protesters from Lebanon's You Stink movement have stormed the Ministry of Environment in Beirut and started a sit-in, refusing to move until the minister resigns. They lined themselves along the hallways of the ministry, sitting on the floor, chanting for the minister to step down and singing the national anthem. Security forces have since condemned off the area, blocking access to journalists. In addition to those inside, about 20 protesters gathered outside the ministry's building. According to one protester affiliated with the You Stink campaign, there are more surprises to be expected. Lebanon has faced increasing protest over the past few weeks over the ongoing rubbish standoff, which saw tons of rubbish piled up in the street for over a month as the government struggles to find a solution to the problem. Tens of thousands of protesters have taken to the streets to protest the failure to solve the rubbish crisis, as well as what they call the government's failure to provide basic services such as electricity and water and ongoing political corruption. Protests turned violent 2 weeks ago after security forces opened fire and beat protesters, as well as using tear gas and water cannons against them in central Beirut. One protester is still in intensive care and several hundreds others are injured. Dozens were more arrested. ISIL takes territory in south of Syria's capital, with fighters engaging in street-to-street battles with rebels. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant Group has battered Syrian rebel forces in the southern district of Damascus, bringing ISIL fighters within about 5 kilometers of the center of the capital. ISIL fighters on Monday night waged street battles against the loose coalition of Syrian rebels in Asali, part of the Syrian Cordon district, after seizing 2 streets there over the weekend, a monitoring group and ISIL-affiliated media reported. He said the fighters had advanced from the adjacent Al-Hajar al-Sarid neighborhood, where they have been based since July 2014. Rebels who control several districts in southern Damascus are battling on 2 fronts, ISIL from the south and troops belonging to the regime of President Bashar al-Assad from the north. Opposition-held Cordon has been relatively quiet since a truce there a year ago between rebel groups and regime forces who still have a strong grip over the center of the capital. And in the world of sports, Serena Williams and Rafael Nadal lived up to their billing with victories in the first of this year's U.S. Open night session. Top seed Williams needed just 30 minutes to begin her bid for her first calendar Grand Slam as Vitalia Dancheko retired at 6-0, 6-0, 2-0 down. Nadal seeded 8th saw off 18-year-old Bonner Courage 6-3, 6-2, 4-6, 6-4. World number 1 Novak Djokovic went through, but 4th seed Ken Nishikori was beaten. The Japanese player last year's runner-up 6-4, 3-6, 4-6, 7-6, 8-6, 8-4 to Frenchman Bonnet Paré. The U.S. Open advanced to the next round. West Ham have signed Barcelona midfielder Les Song and Chelsea winger Victor Moses on season-long loan deals with Hull City striker Nikita Jelavic, also arriving for about £3 million. Cameroon World Cup player Song, 27, made 31 appearances in all competitions for the Hammers last season. Moses, 24, joined after signing a new 4-year deal with his parent club. Croatia international Jelavic, 30, has signed an initial 2-year contract with an option for a further 2 years. Real Madrid say they did everything they could to sign Manchester United's goalkeeper David De Gea after missing the deadline by 2 minutes. The 24-year-old £29 million deal and that of Keylor Navas going the other way fell through, with Real saying United took 8 hours to reply to contracts. Real have released a statement explaining the timeline event, and it is not through the will appeal. United have reiterated they provided all the documents before the deadline. De Gea, who is out of contract next year, has not played this season. Navas, 28, has been Real's number 1 since the club allowed Iker Casillas to join Porto. Football transfer, we did everything to sign De Gea from Manchester United, Madrid. With that, it's a wrap on CoreTV News at 4 minutes. Thanks for watching. I am Olajumoke Latiji. Good afternoon.